Okay, good there. It's trying. Mic's on. Cool. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Finally a meeting this year that we're in our room. For those who know me on Facebook, I'm Chris Royball. I'm the president of Wasatch Avian, and this is everybody else from the rescue. From everybody from Twitch, you guys probably know me by my gamer name of Roy. Um, Glad to have you guys all hop in and come in. With Twitch, you guys do have text to speak. So when you guys go to the channel points and hit the button, you guys can ask me questions or anything that you guys might want to know about the birds. Well, before we get started on my class, do we have a rescue report on all the birds that we have currently in our system? Because I know we've gotten quite a few. Cockatiel. Awesome. Chloe, male Moluccan. Needs to go to a female owner. Vicky. So another male Moluccan. Okay. Four budgies, did we? Okay. How are they doing? Okay, so mm-hmm. Keep from breeding. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's a parrotlet. We would, but we already have to deal with one little angry parrotlet. Don't need two. And is that our little parrotlet has little man syndrome and a conure? Oh, what one? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, for everything that now that we're actually in our own room, because I know our first meeting kind of didn't go as planned, but we still made the best of it. Now that we're in our own room, I know there's a lot of plans that we're all been talking off and on about and trying to get going. I know this year I really want to try and do some outdoor events. Um, if we can kind of figure this all out together, going on like group hikes, walks, or just stuff at like parks just to kind of introduce ourselves more to different communities, like I did out in Ogden last year, walking to the farmers market each day, going along the walking trails and all that stuff, and helping us get our names out there. Um, Little things like that that are free for us to do, but ways that we can involve communities that even just surprise communities. Like when for Halloween, I dressed up as a pirate and walked down the middle of Ogden City with Nix my macaw on my shoulder. I can't tell you how many posts of me got around on Facebook. um, Little things like that is what I see us making a more a bigger impression to the communities, our local communities, trying to just us get help for things if something comes up, like if we have birds turn a whole bunch of birds turn to us. I mean, it's just a matter of time before something happens where either we're helping another rescue out or we're the rescue that needs the help. Other things that I think, the Twitch idea that we're doing tonight, keeping up with the Facebook, working on maybe doing Zoom calls for people who want to be really involved in the meeting but just can't be here and want to be more, have the opportunity to have their voice heard, is what I want to reach out, especially now that we have more of a board, more people to kind of go towards. I've noticed we've been getting a lot more people being more interactive, which is awesome, and I love seeing that, and I want this year to just keep progressing with that. I know with COVID, I mean, almost everybody's been hit with it so far. I just got over it. Cass just got over it. Chase, I mean, we've all been hit off and on with this. And for everybody that's dealing with COVID but still want to be involved in the rescue, finding ways to reach out and giving them the tools to reach out to us is what I really want to focus on this year. I think with the world the way it is now, this is the route we have to go if we want the club and the rescue to keep growing and keep moving forward. And I know a lot of you guys kind of agree with that because I mean, not everybody can make it to Salt Lake or I mean, we're a Utah rescue. We could have people in St. George now being able to reach out to us and be like, "Hey, we're doing this program here for the rescue for donation events." I mean, now being able to reach mobilely and virtually through Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that's going to help us. And then my goal with Twitch in the end is I want to do a big group fundraising event with a whole bunch of different video game streamers and trying to do a donation event for all the rescues in Utah, not just ours. Um, some of them I know, a couple of them I won't say their names just yet because they're still kind of on the up end on whether or not they want to help. But some of them's been able to do just private donation events, and we're able to pull over $2,300 in a matter of 2 hours just on their own. So if I can get a team of them to make a difference to not just parrot rescues, bird rescues, we can also hit every rescue in Utah and just reach out and be like, hey, we're doing a full Utah animal rescue donation. Get them involved and just let the streamers have their fun and do what they do. It's an opportunity to help out more than just our group. And that's kind of how I look at the rescue world is we need to be working together, not against each other. And I mean, even we have a neighbor just down the road of me and Cass that is part of a cat rescue. And she's like, do you guys have anybody that wants cats? We call her family up. We call our friends up. And we've helped a um, couple get out. We've posted them up on Facebook. I don't know how many that's helped them out, but it's things like that. Just even rescue, helping rescue, even if we're not the same species. It just this is what we do. This is what we enjoy is to help animals and give them the homes that they deserve. But for now, right now, I want to start on my class. I'll grab Miss Kitty. The two priorities I want to talk about today for my little lesson plan. The first one, before I get her out, is, and everybody on the board knows about this, but we had to let go one of our birds that we sent to Prayers Creek, was it? Due to heart failure. And the reason why I'm bringing this up and kind of spreading the word is because I see so many people get these birds, post them up online, and they're giving their birds chips, Cheetos, candies, food that they shouldn't be given, and this is what they assume is what caused this bird to die, is too much fatty foods, foods that the bird can't handle. I mean, most people don't realize, but birds cannot handle cheese, like at all. And like I understand this little one sometimes gets like this tiny itty bitty piece of a Cheeto because she's screaming at me while I'm eating a bag of Cheetos. But that's all she gets is just the tiniest piece, and everything else is bird safe treats, stuff like you can go online and order bird safe cookies that are made out of safe breads and stuff that are okay for the birds. A big stress on diet if you are giving treats is peanuts and stuff. It's okay in small increments because they are high in fat. The birds can't process that, and that's what can cause fatty liver disease and can cause like heart failure. I mean, there's so many different things that diets can help. If your bird's not flighted and you want your bird flighted and all the feathers are there, but it's a little overweight, putting them on the proper diet, measuring their weight, getting them the veggies and everything they need will give them that energy to fly. I do understand some birds do have injuries from previous homes or accidents that's happened, and I completely understand that, but there's a point where you just kind of got to accept your bird's not going to fly. But if it's something fixable from as easy as a diet, it could change the world of your bird. Um, the other thing, another priority I want to talk to is because I know there's a lot of people that get kind of jealous of what I do with my birds. This one can't fly, and she'll never be able to fly because of an injury. But the thing is I take my birds everywhere I go, camping, to parks, on hiking trails. I go fishing. They're with me. Um, Proper travel training is such a big thing because birds need the sun too. Like, um, so when you go outside and you have a flighted bird that can fly away, I stress people, do not trust your bird. I know you might be with them for 15, 20 years before you decided, oh, I want to take them walking. Don't trust them. The second something spooks them, their instincts are going to kick in and they are going to fly away. I understand people free flight their birds. That takes years and years and years of training. But with that training, you kind of got to understand it's a risk still because you still got predators. A big thing that I do, this bag's not the best example. This is a modified cat bag that has a little perch put in it and two little spots for food and water cups. This one's okay to use if you take your pet to bird safe, like pet safe stores, like Petco. I mean, like Sportsman, stuff that they allow pets in. Even what Joann's is pet safe. And we took Nix, my macaw, in there, and you should have seen everybody freaking out. But the thing is these little travel bags are amazing. I don't want to push them on people, but I I do recommend them because it's a safe, contained place for your bird to go with you places, still get to see the world, get the sunlight they need, and be by you all day. The only problem with this one is this is the acrylic. This gets hot. So if you are out in the sun, this is not an outdoor backpack. This is just for stores. If you want to get a bag to carry your bird around with you and go places with, I really recommend getting mesh. The reason why I'm bringing up the bags though is for because a lot of people's reached out to me and is like, I struggle getting my bird in a bag. They panic. It's like a carrier cage. They don't want to go in it. The biggest thing, I didn't bring any because she doesn't need them. But when you start out with training your bird to go in any kind of bag or carrier, the biggest thing I learned to do is put it down somewhere flat where the bird feels safe because not all birds feel okay on the ground. So if it's on a bed or something, put some treats around it, put some treats in it. Let them just explore. Let them, if you have a big enough cage, like for a cockatoo or macaw, and you're okay to babysit the backpack because it's the backpack you're worried about, um, so it doesn't get destroyed, put it in the cage and let the bird explore it. Why are you nibbling my ear? Got a question? Yeah, introduce us to your bird. So, this bird right here, this is Miss Kitty. She's turning 19 this year. I've had her for about 2.5 years. Um, I actually adopted her from Tracy's. She was one of those turned-in birds, and she went and was looking for a new home. Was told that she wasn't going to be handleable because she was just super aggressive. Like, I mean, Tracy's, she normally asks probably a good $1,000 for a bird like this with cage food and toys. I got her for $300 because she just had that attitude from not being handled, not being shared. I don't know. I can only assume on how she got her injury. She has a ruptured air sac. So that's why if you look on the side of, not this side, but turn the other face, this side, there's a little bump on her cheek. And that little bump is the air sac trying to get it. But that's the air sac that's leaking in her face. And it does tweak with her balance if she tries to fly. Because she is actually, come on, I know you're grumpy. Step up. Good girl. She's actually fully flighted. So she has all of her feathers. See? There you go. Are you going to just keep it still? There we go. Come on, let me see your wing. I know Daddy's pestering you. So all of her feathers. But she cannot fly. She falls gracefully, so it's not like she's falling fast and getting hurt. She kind of glides, but that's the best you get. But she's also a very lazy Amazon and doesn't do much. Um, little bit about her. There is some. I do know from Tracy's that they did say that she was in another pet store before she was bought for most of her life, and I think that's why she's kind of traumatized by car keys. Anybody dingles car keys around it. If someone pulled out car keys and dingled it right now, I'm probably walking out with a piercing because she just panics over them. She can't stand it. It scares her. She goes full aggression. Not, I mean, I've seen birds go aggressive when they're playing with a toy, not this kind of aggressive. This is, I'm to fight to fight. But now, I mean, when I first got her, it was bites all over my hand, bites everywhere. Um, couldn't trust her, couldn't do anything with her because if I looked away, I'm getting bit again. And now she's my best bud. She goes everywhere with me, and she'll fall asleep in my arms. She's my baby girl. Ain't that right? You have a kiss? One thing with kissing, for people who don't know, human saliva is very bad for birds. That's why I always wait to make sure my lips are dry and let them make sure they're not trying to lick inside or anything. Because I mean, people are people. They think something's cute and don't realize it's actually really, really, really bad for their birds. But for traveling, another thing outside of the backpack is I really stress people. I Trainers can argue with me about this the entire time, but if your bird likes being outside and you want to take them outside, I don't care if they don't like it, put a harness on them. Because if they're flighted and they can fly away, if they want to, they will. And if you don't have a harness to kind of control that situation, it's going to happen. I've heard plenty of stories of, oh, my bird will never leave my shoulder, my bird will never leave my arm, and then one day something spooks and the bird's gone. And then they're calling rescues, they're calling animal control, calling people around just trying to find this bird. And with birds, it's not a very high chance you're getting that bird back. I mean, I've gone with Ogden Animal Control on multiple occasions to go try and find birds. We find them, try and get them, bird flies off, we don't see them for months. And occasionally we kind of catch a glimpse of one, but other times we don't know where they disappeared to, and that was the last time we saw them. It's a big stress of mine because of last year. I think we had, what, 5 cases with Ogden Animal Control where they called us out, called me out to come help them try and wrangle a bird. And none of them were successful because they're up in 20, 30-foot trees and trying to figure out how to get a bird that can fly out of there. Um, I stress a lot about it to people that I see with their birds outside that can fly because you never know. There's no way to know if your bird's going to take off or not. I mean, they are still wild animals. They have not been in the pet system long enough to be truly deemed domesticated. You can tame them, they can become great pets and spend years and years and years with you, but they still have their instincts. They're not like dogs that kind of lost all their survival instincts. Birds still have them. What? But I do love the backpacks. I have also a parrot stroller, which is a cat stroller with perches in it. There are so many different things that you can do to take your birds places. You can, if you want to take your bird for a car ride, you can get a perch for your car seat. I know that's risky because it really is if you get in a car accident, but if your bird ain't gonna go in a backpack and be strapped into a seatbelt, sometimes that's what you got to do. Go for it.
I have another question.
Hmm.
I've noticed all your birds have cordless feathers, right?
Mm-hmm.
My birds, I have a problem during the winter where it gets too cold. I don't want to take them outside.
Mm-hmm.
I have the UVA, UVB lights for them at home, but still their feathers kind of get a
Dry.
little bit darkened
A little.
on some of the tips over the winter. What do you do to make sure your birds are getting proper sunlight
So
over the winter months?
Honestly, our bird room is nothing but windows, like huge windows that aren't like the UV. It's an old house, so they're not like the UV tinted windows that prevent the UV light from coming in. We've put heaters, like bird safe heaters, just make sure that if they are any kind of heater, that it's not Teflon, that there's no fumes. Radiator heaters, the electric radiator heaters are 100% most of the time safe. You just got to read through, make sure they don't have Teflon or anything. But 2 days, and then yeah, and then watch it for 2 days to make sure that there's no fumes coming off of them. But once that is done, we use those so we can open the windows, have sunlight coming in, they get a nice cool breeze with a radiator heater, keeping them warm. Another big thing, especially with winters, being out here in Utah, is it might not seem it, but we're still dry air. And so humidifier. Um, don't for people who get air purifiers and humidifiers, don't put any like essential oils or anything in it or like any scents. The only thing that I have seen some people do that is okay is like leave the zipper alone, but is using like aloe. Also, you can go online, you can buy bird safe aloe spray for their feathers and putting the aloe on them when they bathe and things like that. One of my favorite things to use, especially with birds that have like PTSD, hormones, or just moody, um, is you can get bird safe CBD. I know it's still kind of being researched, but it's CBD as long as you follow the dosage for the weight of your bird. It's helped out. It's also really good, like Trixie or African Gray. We'll take the CBD and drip it on her. That's a feed on its own for those who know Trixie. But um, we will drip the CBD oil on her, and it helps her skin because she doesn't have the feathers. It helps her skin get really soft, so she's not dealing with the itchiness like Nick's my macaw right now. He's doing a full molt, so he has pin feathers everywhere. His cage, bottom of his cage, looks like poof of like a pillow. But I use that to kind of help relieve it. And then also, if your bird is getting pin feathers, if they trust you enough, this is a big if they trust you enough. If you take your finger and your nail, put it on the pin feather, and you pinch, and it breaks apart like that little white coating. I can't remember what it's called. The keratin. If you pinch and it breaks, that's good. If it's still pliable, that feather is still developing, leave it alone. But if it breaks and just like crumples apart, that's what birds do when they preen each other. Is they're basically using their beaks and pinching that and seeing if it'll break apart. And if it breaks apart, then it's ready to be preened, and that helps. Most of the time, you don't ever have to preen your bird unless it's pin feathers on the head because they can't get to them. Nick's, our macaw, I got to pull him out. He's moody because he's itchy. I got to hold him still and pick off the coatings for his pin feathers because they're just making him itchy. That will help. Baths during summer, it's whenever the bird wants. That's kind of my opinion. So if the bird wants a bath, give him a bath. This one does not like water, no matter how many different methods I try. So she kind of gets forced into a bath. But my macaw and all of our other birds, they get baths when they want baths. So I do little test spritz and stuff like that. I'll put aloe in the sprayer just to kind of help them out. But during winter, a minimum of once a week, because right now they don't want to take baths because it's cold, and they know it's cold, but they still need them. Some birds will still go full bathing mode in this kind of temperature in the house and stuff like that, but sometimes they'll be like it's too cold. Other ways that I have found that helps out a lot with feather quality is when you're taking a shower. If you like hot showers, like Cass, that feels like it's water from hell. I can't do that hot of a shower. But steam baths will help loosen the feathers a bit. So You're being a pain. But the steam also, if your bird ever gets congested, um, most of the time, like birds when they're congested, it's dust, dander, stuff that they pick up in their cage, or they're starting to get an infection. Visit the vet, have them just do a quick checkup, make sure. Most of the time, steam baths, where you just hop in the shower, have a bathtub going, where you're just relaxing and the steam comes up, helps them a lot. That also is the same thing with the humidifier, but with the steam, it kind of, with the warmth, it kind of helps. And I mean, I've seen our conure, I'll be taking a bath and he's just sitting, running around the floor like little conures do, and then he'll just go full bathing mode, like no water around him, just start flapping his wings around, thinking he's getting wet, and it's from the steam. And that's helped out a lot with the colors. And then making sure that they get their veggies and their vitamins that they need will help out with the colors as well. I will say, if any of your birds were rescues, it can take years to get that dark coloration out. Come here, because I know you still have a few. Step up. I know you want to be on my shoulder. So I'll bring her over to you. So you see how at the end of some of her feathers, you see these black bars?
Yeah.
Those are stress bars. Those can take 5 to 6 years. Yep. So those black bars that you kind of see at the end of each feather, those are deemed stress bars, and they can take years to molt. I mean, it just depends on when the feather molts or their personality. Come on, I know you're being a pain. Step up. There you go. So all those stress bars, you'll just see it's very faint because she's almost got them gone. But like you see how that still has a little bit of black right there. Um, these are caused, like you'll see them mainly right here, from high stress. I'll try and bring her over. Get it?
Oh.
So all there we go.
The oil doesn't make them high.
Little bit, because so even CBD oil that is for human consumption, because CBD doesn't have the THC in it anymore, they extract it. Birds are so little, I don't think they can pull enough of that THC out that won't read for like a drug test for us or even affect us in any way. I don't think they can pull enough out to not get the birds that way, but it's not like huge. It's not gonna hurt them. It's just a little bit. I've noticed a little bit of personality changes with my macaw. With him, he kind of zones out for a little bit, but it only is for like what 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, and then he mellows out, and then he's calmer because that's what the CBD does for people. It helps calm the emotions. It helps calm, like a lot of people use it for anxiety and other things. And with birds, it's helped out because my macaw, he was in a hoarding home out in Nevada. Boxes stacked high, bird cages everywhere with not all the birds alive in their cages. And so he kind of, we've noticed when we start like cleaning the house or moving things around, he starts panicking and getting very aggressive, very timid, very scared. Like he'll start doing the whole wing shaking and trembling. And we found if I give him CBD before we do that, he normally can get through it just fine, no problems at all.
Okay, so how much do you give them, orally, and then how do you apply it to the feathers? Do you mix it with
So
water and spray it? Or?
with the feathers, you can do more than what the bottle recommends because you're diluting it in water. That's what I do. Orally, on the back of the bottle, it'll tell you how many milliliters or what you like uh, yeah, for the syringe per the weight of the bird. So that this is the only problem. So you got to know the recommended weight of your bird and what your bird's at. Um, CBD is one of those things though that you really can't overdose on, but you still don't want to give them.
No.
No. CBD is extract of marijuana without the THC. The THC is what gets people high. The CBD is more of a beneficial chemical from it. CBD is legal worldwide. THC, not so much. Um, but it has a lot of medical benefits. And with the feathers, I've noticed it also helps. Like, have you ever seen a bird that's over preening a feather and instead of being nice, smooth, looks like a feather, it's like you get clumps here, clumps there, kind of like that, instead of all folded up together like this? I've noticed when I use the CBD in a water bottle and kind of just let it sit on them and then I give them a bath like an hour later, it just helps with that, getting it all back to where it was. Even I actually will take some of the CBD, mix it in with water when they're molting, and when I collect their feathers, I'll spritz them down and then rinse them off, and they almost look like brand new feathers.
Hmm. Do you give it orally just in a syringe, like on the side of their mouth,
Yeah,
and they take it?
yeah, they kind of take it. My macaw, he's kind of he doesn't panic when I'm giving it to him, but anything in his mouth, he's like, I'm gonna break it. So he squeezes. So I gotta, what I do is I hold his neck and lightly just kind of turn his head, and then I put it in the corner of his
Yeah.
beak, so it just kind of drips in instead of risking putting a syringe in his mouth and all of a sudden being like, okay, now I gotta figure out how to open your mouth to get that out.
Exactly. And
um,
okay, can you give a plug for your supplier? Where do you buy your CBD for keeping the
um,
animals safe? Or...
I honestly, it's called bird hemp.
Oh,
You can get it on Amazon,
yeah.
and it's like $20.
Okay.
A lot of people, you can you can also go get calm bird powder, which is like it's kind of like a nectar powder. So you don't want to give it too much, but you can add it to bird chop or their pellets, or if your bird likes to make soup, you can add it to that.
Or even fruit if it'll take fruit.
Yeah, um,
Yeah.
and it's just it's kind of a bitter powder. I was curious. I'm ex-mechanic. I find something I gotta taste it once. Um, it's kind of bitter, and I think that's why it's like one thing I like to do is like you find fruits that you can blend up into a juice and mix it into that, so they think they're in. That's also a good way for syringe training with your pets. For any pet, find like some kind of liquid that they enjoy, and you can teach them to enjoy the syringe by being, hey, look, I got you a treat, and give them. Her we do kind of like fruit juices and other stuff that we hand blend, and it's kind of helped. She still gets a little timid with the syringe, but that's a great way to mix in those like calm bird powders, or if you have vitamin powders that they just don't want to touch, if you put it on their food, that's a quick, easy way to kind of get them those vitamins that they need. Another thing with traveling, I would say, if you're like me and want to go camping with your birds, make sure that you guys get um, propane. You can use propane heaters.
CO2.
With this, you got to make sure you have CO2 readers and things wherever you're camping. Like if you have a motorhome or an RV camper, um,
Also, make sure to have your RV tested
yeah,
once a year for
propane
propane
leaks.
leaks.
So test once a year for propane leaks on any camper RV, but you can use propane heaters. You just got to have the basically if the CO2 goes off, that's enough to start affecting them, and then sooner or later it's going to start affecting you. With most CO2 readers, they kind of go off long before we need to worry about it, but when they go off, you know that your bird is now in danger. As long as the propane heaters are working properly, there's no danger to them from my knowledge. From the research I've done, I do need to contact some vets to verify, but most propane heaters burn really clean. I mean, even some households still use propane heaters. The biggest thing is it's just making sure they're not by the heater directly, that they're in a ventilated place. When we go camping, we put the birds back away from the heater and by windows that we leave cracked to keep ventilation going, and we have a top vent that's constantly going. So it's enough to where the camper still warms up, but it's ventilated enough so if anything does happen, everybody's going to be fine. Um, Camping safety with birds: when you have a fire, make sure they're away from the smoke. I know smoke likes to wander, so most of the time when we're doing like a fire and having s'mores, the birds are in the camper away from the smoke. Um, if you go ATVing or anything like that, make sure you have a secure place to put your birds. So when you're away from camp, no one's going to mess with them or try and take them. I mean, that's a big fear for everybody. That's why I really recommend, if you are camping with birds, don't be in a tent, be in an RV that you can lock up. Long travel is another part that I've noticed is a big issue with people traveling with their birds. When people travel with their birds a lot, um, they kind of realize, well, my bird's getting uncomfortable. They're sitting on a perch all day. I mean, yes, they do that anyways in their cages or on their play stands, but they want to move around. Being in a little travel thing like this, or even a travel cage, they can't move around enough. So if your bird is kind of more energetic and flighting, make sure that you open up the carrier in a closed area, put a harness on them, and take them out. If as long as you are very vigilant, you can put them on the grass, sit by them, and let them walk around, get some exercise. Make sure they have food and water. Don't overfill the food and water when driving. If you have a bird that likes to throw temper tantrums, this one, because she wants to be by me at all times when I'm driving, she literally flipped her food bowl and the water bowl all throughout our car. So I got to be careful with this one. Um, Hiking, be very aware that if you are hot, they are probably dying. So you need to make sure that they stay hydrated. You keep, big thing with this, keep a water bottle with a spray nozzle, because that's how they cool off. They love water. So they start getting hot, spritz them down. When we did the farmers market, we all had spritz bottles and we were soaking the birds left and right, and on top of everybody enjoying just the show of the water getting flung all over the place. But birds love to be spritzed down when they're hot. Um, Weird thing about my macaw, with bass and being spritzed down, he will only accept it if there's ice in the water. I've never had an animal that enjoyed ice cold bass, but even during winter, if that water is not cold, he don't want it. He won't touch it. Trixie likes about hand temperature warm, but him ice cold. Even during summer, having a pump sprayer, um, had to fill that thing with ice just so he would bathe. Um, Also keeping an eye, because if the bird starts panting or seeming very lethargic, that might be overheating. Um, and those are things to keep an eye on when you're hiking or walking with a bird. That's why I love my bird stroller, because I can have them in it, go walking with them, and have all my supplies underneath. My backpack's not so much, but I am working on getting little attachments that I can put on the backpack to carry extra stuff. But this was only 3 months of training, and I got her to where she's completely content being in this backpack. So don't lose hope. It takes time. Maybe not this fast, but if you patient, you can take your birds wherever you want. My favorite is going to outlet malls, like Farmington Station for us. We take our birds and walk throughout there. Most stores don't care. They're excited just because you have a bird in a backpack. There's a lot of different things that you can do with birds being outside. It'll also help your bond with your bird, because now when you're leaving the home, they're like, I'm with you. This is what I get to experience. Go ahead. Oh, yeah. Outside dining, a lot of places will give you free food for your birds. You just tell them what is bird safe. We have gone to Slackwater out in Ogden. Um, what that burger place? Having a brain fart. But we have literally, huh? Craft Burger, yeah. We have gone to multiple restaurants with outdoor eating that allow pets, and they'll be like, "What can they eat?" Well, they can have like cucumbers and this and this, and next thing you know, we're getting huge plate, and everybody's out there with their phones trying to take pictures of you feeding the birds. She's gotten scrambled eggs from Kraft Burger. They'll be like, "Can she have eggs?" Yes, but there can't be any seasoning on it. We're on it. Come out 10 minutes later with a single egg for her to munch on. Like, the thing is with birds is a lot of people don't understand that these are amazing pets. I know a lot of people do believe that these should have never been put in the pet world, but because they're in the pet world, we're here to give them the best life they can. Because I know I've dealt with this a lot out in Ogden when trying to catch birds that's been lost or released. Oh, it's a bird. It'll be fine. These birds are not fine. You take anything out of the wild and get it away from its pure instincts and the training that it gets from a baby of how to survive, they won't survive. They do still have some of their instincts, but these have already been in our system long enough to where there's no chance of them being released unless taught otherwise. That's like bird conservations. They start them out as babies and go through the process of teaching them what they need to do out in the wild before releasing them. That's how that works. They don't just raise a baby bird and be like, okay, have fun. That bird will die in minutes, hours, might last a couple days. In most occasions, out in those wild environments with predators. Out here in Utah, most birds, their biggest threat's an eagle or a hawk. But most of the time, they probably don't know what that green thing is flying at them. They're probably going to leave it alone, but you never know. If I do, we have any questions on Twitch? No? Oh, that's fine. I know, connection's probably a little buggy. At least the video's going to be fine when it posts. Yeah, that's fine. We'll get that for next time. Any questions on Facebook? No? Do we have any other questions or any other topics that you guys want to hear about?
Do you know how birds are affected by the COVID because of the SARS part of COVID?
The only animals that has um, been proven to catch COVID is hamsters, from what I've been told.
Deer.
Yes, but as far as I'm aware, birds cannot get it. But if you do catch COVID, just keep clean, keep away from a little bit. I mean, yes, you got to do what you got to do, but I don't think as long as it's not direct contact, saliva to saliva kind of contact, like them licking, kissing, or anything like that, or you sneeze in their face, I think there's not enough like research. There's not any evidence that shows that birds can get it. I know dogs and other animals also haven't been proven to get it yet. But I know with COVID, it is a big fear of animals catching it and wondering what's going on. I can do some research into it. And you can hit me up on Facebook or just even, I was going to say, if we want to get a hold of them, I am completely fine with creating just a private email and putting my email, that private, like bird questions email, on, because I'm going to put one on Twitch and I'm going to probably put one for Facebook to get, but also on our website. So if people do want to ask these questions, it gives me something for when we do more classes, I can research them. Or if I already know, I can put that into a lesson plan to kind of be like, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. Um, do we have any other questions? Any other like care diet that anybody wants to know?
Um, so I'm looking for a parrot, and there's some to rescue. There's some that need medication. I, how expensive is the medication?
It depends. Uh, it depends. From medication I've seen people give birds, it could vary between as little as $20, $30 for a vial, or whatever you need, and that will last a month or two, or even longer, depending on what's the dosage rate, to upwards to probably $200, $300, $400. But there are things to know that you can, as long as the bird doesn't have a prior medical issue. Was it progressive or all state? One of the,
It's not all state, 'cause that's not.
yeah, it's progressive then. Progressive actually has animal insurance. It is worth it. For all of our birds, got a quote. We have 6 birds total in our house with 2 dogs, because I quoted for the whole household was like $94 a month. Sounds expensive, but as long as they don't have a prior medical issue, they will cover up to, like, you'll have a deductible, but after you get past that deductible, they will cover everything from surgeries, medication, and other things like that. Basically, you'll fit the bill out front, and then they will reimburse you.
Health insurance for your pets.
Yeah. And very, very worth it, especially when you have a bird that, if you get them young as a baby, and they're going to live 60, 70 to 80 years. These are lifetime pets. So it kind of gives you, this is your lifetime companion. If you get that insurance, yes, it's expensive, but when something does happen from an accident or something like that, it's going to help you financially keep that pet with you and not worry about it too much. I do know there is other insurance companies that do it as well. I'm just not sure who. But I think honestly for Nick's was what, $15 a month. So if you only have one bird, it's $15. So as much as a normal subscription for like Hulu, Netflix, or something. And your bird's pretty much covered as long as it's not a pre-existing condition. Because that's where they'll get you. So if you've taken your bird to a vet and they say, well, this has been an issue for years, when they go in to do the reimbursement and all that, they do their research. That's where they'll be like, sorry, we're not going to reimburse you. But as long as it's not a pre-existing condition, it's covered. Any other questions? Think that's good?
Yep.
Cool. Well, we can all go get our snacks and everything. Thank you, everybody on Facebook, and thank you, everybody from watching on Twitch. I will probably be on later tonight playing Phasmophobia.
Do say that because of the connection that we will be making videos, and so I'll try to.
Yeah. And because of the connection was a little iffy for us. We are going to just post the video, and we're also probably going to post it to a YouTube channel as well, so you guys can go through and rewatch it. Okay. Love you guys. You guys all have fun, okay? And have fun gaming.